Okay, Nick and Andy, this is it, the Champions League final. Let's give our predictions and preview what should be a brilliant final in Munich between Paris Saint-Germain and Inter Milan. I mean, everyone predicted this, right, Nick, at the start of the season, that these would be the two teams squaring off for the European Cup in Germany. What do you expect for this game, and what are you focused on most?
I think the most interesting thing to me, besides something I know we're going to talk about, which is PSG's sort of the way the narrative has changed and that they're doing it without quote unquote big names. But the legacy of the managers to me is really, really interesting. Luis Enrique has won leagues, 2 in Spain, 2 in France, but does not have this. I mean, he has the Champions League, but would become the legacy of winning the Champions League with 2 different clubs. The flip side of that is Inzaghi, who has done a lot. I mean, winning trophies with Lazio and now taking a step up, if you will, to Inter Milan, and what it would mean to him as a relatively young manager at 49. I know we're getting used to the Herzlers of the word, but there was, being in their 30s, but there was a time that 49 would have been considering just entering the managerial prime. And a win for him here, I think, is huge. I mean, it's obviously huge, but I mean, for his career.
Absolutely. And Andy, I mean, it's been huge the way that PSG have performed in the knockout rounds and kind of been mesmerizing, especially in midfield and attack. And they definitely grew into this tournament. It wasn't always the case and only just made it into the knockout rounds. But there is extra pressure on them, right, compared to Inter Milan, given that PSG have never won this competition. And it seems that now is their time, sort of unexpectedly so. Like Nick mentioned, that all the superstars have gone. Thought this would take a little while to rebuild and give these young players the platform to maybe one day do this. But all of a sudden, they're in the final, and most people will make them the favourites. So it feels like there's a lot of pressure on this young team.
Yeah, I'll be very curious to see, what they do with that and how Luis Enrique kind of, prepares them for that. And if it does seem to affect them, we know it will at the start, because, finals are always going to be a cagey affair. And I think that obviously plays into Inter's hands just a little bit. Like, let's all try to forget what happened in the semifinals and realize that this is not a 7-6 type of team. That's not how they want to go and win games and ties. That was very much an anomaly, and credit to them. They did what they had to do in just maybe the greatest Champions League tie of all time against Barcelona. But yeah, as it's going to be a little bit of a slower game, I do think it actually, I think everybody wants PSG to win, weirdly, because they were kind of the villains of the sport in recent years. Because of the way that they built their team, but I'm looking at this, and the midfield obviously is where most games are decided, and we've been talking all through this run for PSG and talking about how that is really their strength. It's Vitinha, it's Ruiz, it's Neves, but then I'm looking at what they're going to come up against with Inter, and it's Çalhanoğlu, it's Mkhitaryan, it's Barella. Those 3 have been absolutely incredible during this run as well. So it kind of is strength versus strength in this one. And so, I started out thinking I was leaning towards Inter Milan. Now I might be leaning a little bit more back towards PSG. I don't know. This is one of the more interesting and I think evenly matched Champions League finals that we've had in a while, is it not?
It is, and I think, Nick, the key reason why is because they both play so differently, right? And they just counteract each other. You've got, PSG, wonderful dynamism, control on the ball, and just the way that they can destroy you on the counter attack. But then you have Inter Milan, who are rugged, experienced, will do absolutely anything just to get over the line and play a different system with the wing backs. And we saw against Barcelona, like Andy mentioned, that they can do something different and go toe-to-toe if PSG want to make it an attacking game, which they will want to. So should we expect a similar game to that semi-final? Or should, like Andy mentioned, we should probably expect a more pragmatic approach from PSG? And that would probably play into Inter's hands a little bit. And it's a final, right? Like, there's the pressure, the occasion. You don't want to come flying out the traps too early and leave yourself exposed. But there are so many, it almost just balances each other off in terms of the qualities, the strengths, the weaknesses. It's hard to pick a winner between these two teams. And it's almost like, what type of football do you prefer? That kind of thing, right? If you prefer the free-flowing attacking style, possession base, you go with PSG. But if you want to win and just get the job done, Inter Milan's the team you want to win in this game.
So I think that's true in terms of perception. And I think if you would have told me that, I would have absolutely agreed in a vacuum. The thing that changed my mind on that, the thing that tilts me in a slightly different direction, is 1-0 wins at Anfield and at the Emirates for PSG. And I think that showed us a little bit of a different dimension. I think on the whole, your point is right, but they have shown a pragmatism and an experience for their youth that is very, very surprising to me. It's one of the reasons that the not knowing the tactics, not knowing the approach, not knowing what they will do makes this game a lot more exciting. Now, on the flip side of that, everything you've said about Inter Milan is also interesting because they won at Bayern. They won at Bayern, a very difficult place to win. And the manner in which the Barcelona tie unfolded makes me want to say, yes, Joe, I agree with everything you're saying, but anything that happens in this game won't surprise me.
It's true, right, Andy? I mean, but what are you predicting is going to happen in this final? Let me get your score pick, mate.
Having watched the Europa League final just a day ago and seen the way that kind of the pragmatic versus the more aggressive attacking setup plays out in these big games, I have to go with Inter Milan, I think. But I will say, I'm going to say 1-0 to Inter Milan is my prediction. But I am looking back at some of these stats, PSG, those away games when they went to Anfield. They had 21 shots at Anfield. And, they managed to make a wide open game against a Liverpool team that we spent all season talking about. They don't get sucked into that. They don't get drawn into that anymore. They have a lot more control, and they managed to take all control of the game away from Liverpool in that one. So maybe I'm looking at 1-0 after extra time, because I do think it's going to be really, really close. We'll have periods where both teams, have their opportunities and the game is played the way that they want to. But I think in the end, if Inter, obviously, if you don't give up a goal, you're not going to lose. But I think if Inter have their kind of style for long enough in this game, I think they'll come out on top.
Nick?
Yeah, I think the quality of the goalkeepers as well is immense. Tested goalkeepers who can absolutely throw up a brick wall. I'm going to lean towards PSG. And I'm going to go at 2-1. I wanted to go 1-0. I just want to be a little different, though. I want to go away from that. There's a destiny with this PSG thing, and I can't wait to hear what the discussion will be about either of these managers after they put a win on their resume, another win on their resume.
I'm going to go for 2-1 as well, but I'm going to go 2-1 into Milan. I think the experience, the fact that this team has been together for a very long time. Let's not forget, most of this squad, a lot of these guys played in the Champions League final 2 years ago that lost to Manchester City. They've been at this level for a long time. I'm not saying that negates the quality, the skill, the way that PSG can just simply blow you away. The only issue I have with PSG is that, as Andy mentioned, and I think against the game against Arsenal as well, they have a lot of chances in games, but as good as they are, I don't actually think they are the most clinical team, where I think Inter Milan are. I think that they give them a big chance, they will bury it. They have that mentality that I think is just a little bit more suited to this kind of situation and scenario. But I wouldn't be surprised if PSG do pull it off and, a 2 or 3-0 up at halftime. They're that kind of team. But I just think that the fact that this is a final, the situation of it all, plays into Inter Milan's hands a little bit better, and I think they can handle it a little bit better. So really looking forward to this one. Nick and Andy, thanks for joining me for previewing this game. Head over to Pro Soccer Talk on NBCSports.com for all the latest on the Champions League final in Munich. Paris Saint-Germain against Inter Milan. Going to be a brilliant way to end the season. Thanks everyone for watching, and we'll speak to you all very soon. Cheers, guys.
Hi, I'm Rebecca Lowe, and as we head towards the end of an exciting Premier League season, make sure you like and subscribe on the NBC Sports YouTube channel for more content like this.